How's it going, guys? We are gonna be working on my FRS today. We're swapping out the stock seats for some bucket seats. Well, just one bucket seat. There are a few reasons why you would want to do this from a performance standpoint. Bucket seats are gonna hold you in a lot better compared to your stock seats when you are cornering and braking, so you don't have to brace yourself as much, so you can just focus on driving. They're also gonna be lighter, so you can save some weight there. And then there is obviously the aesthetics. A lot of people install these in their car because they look good and you get scene points, and that is all good and such, but you just have to remember that they're not going to be nearly as practical as your stock seats. So if you drive this car as a daily driver or you drive it long distances, just remember that bucket seats aren't gonna be as comfortable, they're not adjustable. So if you are one of those people, I would highly recommend getting an aftermarket seat that is not fixed backed and is reclinable. Another thing I'll caution you on is running bucket seats with a harness with no rollover protection, i.e. a roll cage. The reason being, in case you get into an accident where your car does roll over and you are running a bucket seat and harness, you can get crushed by the roof of the car collapsing because you're stuck in that upright position and you can't go anywhere because of that harness, which is exactly why I'm gonna be sticking with the stock seat belt to maintain that full range of motion just in case something bad happens. So with all that out of the way, let's talk about what we're gonna be installing and what we need to do. I've got the Recaro Profi SPG that we're gonna be installing here. This is a very slim seat. For reference, I'm 6 foot, 170 pounds, and this is a tight fit on me. So if you guys are larger than I am, I would highly recommend the XL version. And then we have the Buddy Club low down seat rails. When it comes to mounting a new seat into your car, you have a couple different options. Some seats, like this one, require side mounts. Some can bolt straight to a seat base. And then obviously you have the option of adding a slider if you want the adjustment. The Buddy Club rails make it super easy because they include basically everything I just mentioned. We've got the side mount brackets to mount to the seat. And then we have the sliding rails, and then these bolt directly to the floor of the interior. Now, obviously, the first thing we are gonna need to do is remove the stock seat out of the car. So the stock seat is held in with 4 bolts. For the, I believe, 13 through 16 models, they were these special E10 bolts that required a E10 socket. And then in the newer model, 17 and up, they switched to a regular hex bolt because these are absolutely garbage. And they are a pain in the ass to remove unless you're lucky and you are able to remove them. But in my case, I was only able to remove these 2, and then the other 2 broke, and these still were a pain in the butt. I was only able to remove them with an impact. And you can, if you take a look closely, you can see that they're starting to shear. The other 2 that I wasn't able to remove, one just rounded off, and then one actually, I broke the tip of the bolt off. So I ended up having to actually drill these out. Not a huge deal, but a little bit more work than I wanted to do, and it would have been much easier if I was just able to remove them, obviously. I did replace these with the new bolts, the new hex bolts. I will link, or I will leave the part number down in the description below if you guys want to pick these up for yourself to replace these bolts with when you go and install your new seats. So let's get the 4 bolts uninstalled from the car now, and then I'll show you what you need to do to get the seat out of the car. The first 2 bolts are gonna be in the front here. Again, these are the new bolts that I installed. They're just 12mm bolts. So we're gonna go ahead and remove these, and then we can slide the seat forward and remove the 2 left over in the back of the seat. With those 4 bolts removed, you're gonna wanna slide the seat back a little bit, and then we're gonna tilt it back, and that's gonna give us access to some of the connections that are underneath the seat for the seat belt, airbag, and seat warmer if you have it. We're gonna need to disconnect those, and then we will be able to pull the seat out. I've got everything unplugged, so now I'm gonna carefully take the seat out. Underneath the seat here are the connections I was talking about. So your seat belt, airbag, and seat warmer if you have it. Make sure you get all these unplugged before you pull the seat out of the car. Now, like I said, I'm gonna be retaining the stock seat belt. So what I need to do is unbolt the buckle from the right side of the seat. And this connector here is going to be obviously connected to it. So we need to basically unclip all of the connections that are retaining it to the seat. And then we will get this transferred over to the new seat or the seat rails, and then we can start putting the seat together. I've got the harness from the seat belt unclipped from the bottom of the seat. You just need to remove this flap here, and that gives you access to everything. We are gonna need to remove the 14mm nut that's holding the actual buckle in place, and then remove this cover as well, carefully with a small flathead screwdriver, which I'm gonna do first. We've got the old seat uninstalled from the car. I've transferred over the seat belt buckle, and I've basically loosely installed everything together. So the side mounts onto the rails, and we are going to install it onto the seat. Now you wanna make sure not to tighten everything down just yet, because if you do so and you go to install it into the car, it may not line up correctly, and you're just gonna have to loosen it up anyway. So leave everything loose so we can place it in the car and get it adjusted as we need, and then we can tighten everything down. You're also gonna have to play with the seat adjustment, how high you want it. And just basically, it's basically just testing it. If it doesn't work for you, you have to adjust it. Trial and error was the phrase I was looking for. All right, now we can take this over to the car and get it installed. Before I forget, I did weigh both of the seats. The stock seat weighed in at about 42.5 pounds, and then this one weighed in at 26 pounds. So that's a savings of about 16 pounds. So that's pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and toss this seat in the car now, and then align it however I need. And then we will get those 4 bolts reinstalled, torque everything down, and we are basically set. I'll give you the torque specs once I get this installed, and I'll leave them down in the description as well. One other thing I almost forgot, because I'm gonna be retaining the use of the stock seat belts, I need to remove the 14mm anchor bolt down here, so that when I install the seat, I can route this through the hole in the side of the seat, so that the belt actually goes around my waist instead of just over the top of the seat bolster. Before we put in the new seat, we do need to take care of this airbag connector here. What we need to do is take a 3.3 ohm resistor and insert it into the connector, and then tape it up with some electrical tape, and then we can install the seat and we won't get any lights on our dash. I've got everything installed, we're gonna need to torque down the 4 bolts that are holding the base to the floor to 39 foot-pounds, and then you need to torque the bolt that's holding the buckle to the base on the right side to 31 foot-pounds, and then the bolt that we removed to loop this seat belt through the hole, torque that down to 21 foot-pounds. Another thing that I needed to do was purchase a seat belt extender so that this goes into the original buckle, and then I can route it through the hole on the right side so I can keep that seat belt around my waist and not just over the bolsters here. And that is pretty much it, guys. Make sure you play around with adjustments to get the seat where you want it. Make sure the sliding mechanism is working, and then yeah, that's it. This is gonna hold me in a lot better than the stock seats. I'm excited to get this back out on the track to see how it feels. If you guys are interested in picking up some seats for yourself, I will leave a link down in the description. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.